Welcome back. And the next step you're going to do is just to create a bolt for these splices. So we have the splice on that end and the splice on that end and the splice on this end and the other one the other end. So we need to bolt these components. So if you take a look at the screen here, you can see I have my absolute points and relative points in place. These 2 points will help in creating the bolt. So let's get straight and get started in creating the bolt. I'll come to steel, then come to bolts, then pick up the bolt group right there. Then I'll pick on the components that I intend to bolt together. I'll pick on that column and pick on this, then pick on the plate. I'll pick on the plate, then right click and come in, pick on the absolute point, then go to the next point, which is relative point. So I'll pick on that spot and pick on this spot right there, and there we are. We've created the bolts. So if I double click on these 2 bolts or the created bolts, I'll come to positions here and define the coordinates for this particular bolt. Let me feed the 80 and come here and give that 80, give a space right there and click OK. So you'll be able to see the moment I feed these coordinates here, you'll be able to see the bolts tend to offset from the absolute point that we created initially. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come to XYZ alignment and pick on the alignment X, then pick middle and click that way. So once I click OK, I'll be able to see my bolts are well fixed at the bottom end of this column. And as I had told you that on the upper end, we'll weld this column to this plate. That's it. Now we are going to the flange, and we want to create a bolt between this splice and this column and the other splice on the other end. So I'll come here and invoke the steel command that will display the tools available here. So I'll come here and click on this drop down arrow here and pick on the bolt group right there and pick on the components that I intend to bolt together. So I'll pick this splice, pick that component, and pick this bottom column. So since I am not able to see the other plate on the other end, I'll be able to press Alt together with D. Then I'll be able to see the other plate on the other end. If I pick on that, I'll be able to select all of them. Then this will take me back to where I was by pressing Control D. That is a draw mode. You can be able to visualize your model in different elements. So elements of display. Now I'll right click and give it an OK. Now I'll come to my I'll come to my absolute point and pick on that relative point right there, and I'll be able to have my points in place. But look what has happened is the bolts have been placed in the wrong location because we've not reoriented our XYZ plane to the right place. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to click undo and bring back and bring my XYZ plane to this particular splice. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to view here, then come to more options and pick on surface, then I'll select on that particular plate. Now we'll begin our step as we had started initially. So I'll come to steel, then come to bolts there and pick on the bolt group. Then I'll pick the components that I intend to bolt together, and the one that I'm not able to see clearly, I'll be able to press a draw mode, Alt D to display the hidden components. So I'll be able to select on that after seeing it, then bring reset back my draw mode to initial one. So I'll right click and pick my absolute point that I had located initially and snap on that spot and snap on that spot. So I have my bolts in place. So I have to double click on that bolt to customize it further to the position that I'll be able to work with. So I'll come to positions on these tabs, then reset this to maybe probably 80 right there. Let me give it 80. Then this one I can give it 40, similar to that, and give that 40. That's it. Then this one, if I click that way, I'll be able to have them in place, but not as I had preferred it to be. I can change that to 50, and change this to maybe to 25 right there. If I click apply and change the alignment to middle, if I click on that, you'll be able to see my bolts are in the middle relative to this point that I had created initially. So the middle bolts, you can see they are located right at the at the meeting point of the two columns, the top and the bottom end. So this bolt is actually in the wrong on the wrong position. And how do you adjust that? I'll come to X position here and maybe add another 50 right there, and you can see there's an offset of the bolts on the other end. So I can go ahead and add some bolts on the y-axis. You can see that, and click apply. And if I click OK and turn that round, you can be able to see the other end is almost outside the needed location where it should be. So I'll double click on it once again and drag that aside and come to positions right here and bring it to the middle point. So if I click on that, I'll be able to see my bolts are in the middle, but there's no bolt that is located right at the connection point between the two columns, top and bottom. So if I click on OK here and turn that round, you can be able to see all the three or four components have been bolted together. So there's one remaining here, the splice on this end. So how do you connect this? I'll follow the same process or the same procedure by coming to steel, then coming to bolts, then pick on the bolts. So I have to pick the components that I intend to bolt together, then right click and come to picking the locations of my absolute and relative coordinate. So prior to that, I have to rearrange my XYZ coordinate or XYZ plane. So I'll come to view, then come to more options here, then pick on to the surface, then pick on that surface of that plate, then right click, then interrupt. Interrupt means you are walking away from that particular command. So what I'm going to do, I'm going back to steel here, then come to bolts right there, pick on the bolts group, then pick the two components, the three components like that, the top and bottom column on the plate, then right click and come to my absolute coordinate here, then pick on that coordinate, then pick on this. There we are, we have our bolts in place, but in the wrong directions. So prior to that, I want to make the bolting uniform. So I have to double click on this to check the dimensions here. So this is 4080 and 3260 right there. So I'll come back here and double click on this, then come to positions here, drag that aside, then that remains so. Then if I take this to 80, let me just take that to 80 right there, then change this to 40 right there. So if I click apply, I'll be able to see my bolts are in the arrangement of my bolts are accurate, so the position is wrong. So I have to realign the bolts to relative to the absolute point that I had created here. So I'll come to X alignment, then pick on the middle and click apply. So I have my bolts in the right location. So if I turn that around, you'll be able to see I have my bolts in place. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to create weld between this plate and the column. So how do I do that? I'll come to edit. So under edit, I'll not be able to get the welding tool. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to back to steel, then come to weld, then I'll pick the auto weld, then pick 2 points, 2 components. I'll pick on that and weld that. So I've created a welding and I want to weld this, and this. So I've created a weld. That is wrong. I intended to weld. Let me just undo that. Right click and undo that. So I've welded this to this. So I intend to weld this to this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick on the weld or auto weld here and pick that and weld this to that. So that's how it's done. So if I come here and right click and come, so having created the welding and to confirm the assembly, I'll be able to pick any of these, right click and come to select assembly. You'll be able to see I'll have only if I click show selected, I'll be able to see I have this in place. This is the assembly. So this will be taken to site as it is. So that's how it's done. So if I right click and show all, I'll be able to have these in place. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this joint to the rest. So I'm going to select everything here. I'm going to select this, then come to clone, Intel clone, then click clone all. So if I click clone all, you can be able to see there are 3 unconnected joints found in this model. So if I click proceed, I'll be able to see you'll be able to see all the connections already created. You can see that. So if I zoom close, you'll be able to see that. If I zoom close, you'll be able to see that. So let's meet that on the next in the next episode or the next part of our presentation. Let's meet then. Bye bye.